What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this corner show with me, Howard Thinking, of the Chicago Black Delegation podcast. And I am here to talk about an individual, a very well-respected individual, 100,000 subscribers, decorated debater, very well decorated debater, very educated, very leftist, very Pan-African. But for some reason, I just keep finding stuff I disagree with him about. it's just I don't know I just don't know, man. I don't watch a lot of his stuff. I don't watch a whole lot of consciously, but like every time I see him every time I see him, every time I see one of his videos, it's something I got a nitpick at. I don't know what it is, bro. And I like leftists, you know. I don't have there's some things I don't agree about with some leftists. And I really kind of, and I definitely lean leftist, you know. I lean, not just left, I lean leftist, you know what I mean, as far as a lot of my policies, a lot of the policies that I support. I even go as far as to kind of help explain the arguments of leftists when it comes to contentious conversations with people that are just flat out Democrats. So I at least understand their arguments, but when it comes to certain subjects, bro, I just don't understand it's like they get emotional at certain times, you know. It's just I don't get it. I don't understand how could it be so educated, yet they just fall victim to certain types of narratives that just don't make any damn sense. And some people can just go okay, what's about their partnerships that they have with certain individuals, because when it comes to leftists, when it comes to being progressive and all that stuff, it requires for you to acquiesce and to be friendly with as many groups of people as possible, all in the effort to fight against the status quo and the oligarchy and stuff like that, and everybody else that supports this current capitalistic structure. Leftists do have I would say lofty goals of implementing socialism. I would argue to say that some of them are flat out communists as well. But let's be fair. Let's be nice and just say they only want socialism. Maybe even some of them maybe. Damn, do I want to go as far as say that? Well, I don't know. I don't think I can. I almost want to say what's it called? Social democracy. I think it's called social democracy. Yeah, they don't support that. So democratic socialist. Hold on, what is the name of that? I'm gonna appreciate social democracy. But anyway, anything that's capitalistic, they generally are fighting against it. And again, consciously is definitely no different. It's definitely no different to these ideals. It's good that he is Pan-African. I respect Pan-Africanism for the most part. Yeah. I'm more so of an Afrocentric type, because there's a difference, but I'm not gonna get to it today in this video, but there's definitely a difference. Ask FD Signifier what makes Afrocentricity different from Pan-Africanism, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. Fact of the matter is, constantly has. And it's not just constantly, but there apparently is a big debate happening right now. There's a big fight going on between leftists, especially black leftists, specifically black leftists. I have not seen any white leftists, Latino, any other nationality, ethnicity leftists go to bat or go to war with FBAs or even speak on FBAs. but yeah, it's either it's majority. I mean, well, I'm not gonna, of that group. Well, it's like a kind of a mismatch. It's kind of like all over the place as far as if they're immigrant blacks or descendants of emancipated peoples. Because I know they're not going to be called FBAs. They're not going to want to be labeled as FBAs. But going by the definition, going by the argument of what an FBA is, yes, they somebody like FD Signifier, no matter how much he want to kick and scream, somebody like Consciously, no matter how much he kick and scream would fall under the category of foundational Black American. But like I think what's happening here is there is a false labeling of these individuals, whereas simply listening to Tariq Nasheed for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, he'll explain in depth what FBA is, and it's not really all that complicated. It's not even all that complicated, honestly. But what do I know? Anyway, so let's kind of check out what Conscious Lee has to say about these individuals, the FBAs. I think in this video he wants to debate as many of them that wants to show up, that wants to pop out. And he has actually presented some arguments that I actually want to have a response to. And I don't even really think there's all that complicated or difficult questions to, not questions, but like difficult positions to essentially uproot and essentially dismantle. Mind you, I want everybody to know that I don't necessarily support Tariq Nasheed to any capacity. I just don't. So I don't like. I want to classify, not as classify. I don't identify as FBA. I understand, again, by the definition, I would fall into that category, that categorization, that identity. But I won't call myself. I won't be hashtagging FBA to identify myself. I would sooner use ADOS. I would frequently use American freedmen rather, because I know I got some British friends that kind of got a problem. Me call myself freedman if I don't put that American distinction there. But neither here nor there. Let's see what Conscious got to talk about though. Let's see what he's saying.
Matter of fact, I'm finna tell you, I got 8 arguments right here. I'm finna go down with you right now. First argument: FBA is white nationalism and blackface. That's the claim. The warrants, the way that they use racial purity when talking about lineage, and the way that they deployed the Great Replacement theory that was like literally created by white nationalists.
Okay, so the statement that essentially, white supremacy and blackface and how to use like racial purity and all these other things. Look. This is gonna be like the theme of a lot of how do I put this? This is gonna be like the theme of this type of these types of conversations as a whole. And it's almost applicable in almost any metric, anything you can kind of think of that hasn't been thoroughly like explored and thoroughly debated, like so on and so forth. Fact of the matter is, like, the FBAs they're not a monolith, bro. They're not a monolith, man. What one FBA believes is not gonna be the same thing as another FBA believes. These people, it's unfortunate because these people aren't even organized enough to to distinguish what this whole code is, even though they all talk about staying on code, and like I get it, but like look, they have not sat down and like created this code to abide by, right? So like it's unfortunate that these people are as disorganized as they are, but like with that disorganization, you have to have, especially as Consciously as a very like as the thinker that he is, he has to understand. He needs to be able to understand that with this disorganization comes a lot of let's say a lot of, I don't want to say trolls, but it can be trolls as well, but it's going to be a lot of crazy text that's going to be put out there with accommodated with the hashtag FBA, Um, it's but like you gotta understand, like you have to be able to look in this in a similar manner as you would seeing somebody that identifies as a Democrat saying things that most Democrats or Democratic politicians would not say or would not agree to. Um, and it's like I don't know, it's not. I think it's like constantly he's such a smart dude that I don't understand why he doesn't already like understand it already. So again, that's just gonna be like the common like narrative throughout this whole like video or rebuttals. Um, but for him to say that it's just it's white supremacy and blackface and stuff like that, um, and using racialized purity and like all this other stuff. Like, look, it depends on it strongly depends on the examples that he provides. It strongly depends on the context, the nuance of the conversation that led up to him using that scenario as an example. So what we see a lot is we see a lot of people we see a lot of rocks being thrown at African immigrants that live in America. We see a lot of rocks being thrown their way, but we don't stop and think about where did this come from. Yvette Carnell of the ADOS Advocacy Foundation, she had to respond to a similar claim, basically saying that like, look, there's gonna be people in ADOS. They say a lot of crazy things, but if you want to know what ADOS is truly about, you go to the website, right? And that's the distinction between. That's one of the primary distinctions between FBA and ADOS. Well, you know what? I don't want to say that just yet. So let's see if officialfba.com. This is about Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed like holds the trademark for FBA. So if this is his site, then we can like use this. Okay, here's a trademark down here. Do I want to do that? No, I'm good. Okay. Legal disclaimer: non-organized status, lineage-based identity, prohibition. Wait, what? Okay, I can't read. Prohibition against mischaracterization and criminalization. Any attempts to classify, criminalize, or otherwise misrepresent FBA as a structured organization or extremist group are legally unfounded, defamatory, and constitute deliberate misinformation. The weaponization of law enforcement, intelligence operation, and media narratives is falsely linked to FBA identity with criminal activity, an act of defamation and malicious prosecution. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, he pretty much official stance and entrapment and online manipulation. We are aware of ongoing efforts by various actors, including state-sponsored intelligence agencies, social media disinformation networks, and infiltrators who deliberately frame FBA as a group rather than a lineage. These COINTELPRO style tactics include creating fake social media accounts posing as FBAs. Oh, there you go. To incite violence and criminal discussions. Okay, well there you go. He beat me to the punch. Planning false narratives in mainstream and alternative media to falsely equate FBA with organized extremist groups, attempting to entrap FBA influencers and individuals into legal jeopardy through fabricated associations. Affirmation of First Amendment rights and legal protection. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is Tariq Nasheed site, and he actually thought to throw this together and let people know. Of course he's gonna sell his little things. Anyway, but yeah, I was like absolutely right in what I was stating. So yeah, you have to I'm not wasn't right. So I was incorrect to assume that Tariq Nasheed did not put an internet site together similarly to the ADOS advocacy group. Even though ADOS is a little bit more detailed, like they do a little bit. There's more going on there besides legal disclaimers and sellable wares and stuff like that. But yeah, he did think to already kind of get ahead of like notifying that there's individuals that will use the FBA hashtag or disguise themselves as FBAs, since like nonsense, like again like somewhat akin to trolls, you know. So for him to conscious lead to not kind of be like aware or like to be like more vigilant into understanding like whom is actually behind these hashtags, whom is actually behind these Twitter handles and stuff like that, to understand, are they even FBA, are they just probably provocators and stuff like that. Like that I don't know. It's kind of and it's like it's like I think those things need to be considered first before you start to gather examples to start creating like these sort of narratives and stuff like that. So, but the only way, so if we were to like let's say these individuals were FBAs, right? Let's say they actually is these again. Let's say he was onto something. Let's say a FBA actually saw these stats made by this again a provocateur or a troll or whatever like that. And he actually liked it. He maybe even retweeted or something like that. Maybe it's a whole bunch of them that liked it and tweeted and stuff like that. First of all, we have to acknowledge that FBA isn't a group. Just as you said, it's just a lineage and stuff like that. But if you want to contribute I mean, I'm being as as generous as good faith as I possibly can, as charitable as I possibly can in this conversation here. But even if we were to say, this man constantly was absolutely correct in all of the things. I'm sorry. Let's say what consciously gathered as far as examples was turned out to be true to any capacity. Again, we still will have to like go further into these examples and find out the nuance, find out like what is actually happening within those examples, in order to see if it was actually, in order to see if the narrative is even justifiable to any capacity for that matter. I don't know. We have to go further into like the actual argument itself to see how he justifies it. But for the most part, you have to like it's just like a knee jerk response to this is like, bro, they all like they're not a monolith. Some FBAs, some people just they'll don the title FBA just because it is it's a distinction between, it's a distinction from themselves from other groups, and every other group does that. So why can't Black Americans? So let's keep it going.
FBA's hate for illegals, from what white supremacists are championing, for like their hate for illegals has allowed for them to champion Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the 14th Amendment. For y'all that is watching, and for me, you know what I'm saying, giving you my link argument or giving you more context, is that because overturning birthright citizenship is a part of the mass immigration, you know what I'm saying, agenda, that overturning is going to impact Black livelihood. The entire 14th Amendment, which was passed in 1868, you feel me? Shit, all those things really structure how we understand the Black experience.
Okay. He says it's going to affect the Black experience, it being overturned. Okay. Okay. Applying some context here. If understanding that Donald Trump understands the cause of the 14th Amendment, like the reason for this 14th Amendment was to essentially honor those slaves and give them citizenship, right? That's what the 14th Amendment was crafted for. If we can assume, if we can give Donald Trump some grace for like at least for like, I don't know, this conversation, he would understand that would mean that he would understand that there would need to be something put in place to protect that, a protection, like to protect that. to protect that right that Black Americans hold, right? That like in other words, it would just simply need to be rewritten, right? It would need to be rewritten in a way that it protects what it was initial intention was for, while excluding individuals that were born on land to illegal or undocumented immigrants. Okay. Because like I said, like that conversation was, like I said, specifically targeting, like I said, those that are illegally cross the border. You know what I'm saying? So for it to affect, I mean, it is, yeah, it's a potential that overturning the 14th Amendment will affect Black Americans. So okay, well, let's talk about that actually. So there's a distinction that need to be made here. For obviously it will affect the Black Americans that are, well, the Africans that the African immigrants here, right? Because they still qualify as Black. So obviously it would affect them because they will likely lose their citizenship, or rather, they will lose their they will be treated as pretty much essentially like those that cross the border illegally. I mean, they probably, I mean, that's kind of the thing. If these African immigrants got here illegally, or if they didn't go through the legal proceedings into becoming a citizen, then they won't. Then yes, they will be negatively affected by this bill. So he's right in that regard, but that's not what I mean. That's not. Well, you gotta. I guess that kind of like depends on the how much we sympathize with those individuals. You know what I'm saying? Which I would argue that Black Americans should sympathize with African immigrants. But I mean, like I said, that's kind of one of those really big contentious conversations at this given moment. So anyway, but when it comes to Black Americans or those that were, that were descendant of emancipated peoples, the conversation is a lot different, right? Will they be affected? It like I said, it would be hard for me to believe that it will affect. It would be hard for me to believe that their livelihood would change, knowing that their citizenship won't be revoked. You know what I mean? Just if the 14th Amendment is stripped, I don't see these people being not being citizens anymore. For the simple reason that it's really like the same situation as other groups in America. I mean, maybe besides Native Americans. But yeah, everybody except Native Americans, except descendants of emancipated peoples, they're all immigrants. They all took a boat. They immigrated here. You know what I mean? Is that the settlers, the pilgrims, they just took the land. They purchased the west end of it. Not without war, mind you. They will be in the same boat if the 14th Amendment was revoked and it disenfranchised those descendant of emancipated peoples here in America. I'm gonna start saying freedmen because I don't want to say all that anymore. We're gonna start saying freedmen. So yeah, I can't see that being a thing because they will essentially be shooting themselves in the foot legally at least. But I guess that kind of depends on the individuals and the individuals that are in power. Because like I said, a lot of things that can apply for he may not apply for we, right? But let's keep going on.
Donald Trump's administration overturning birthright citizenship will have an impact on, on that. You feel me? Third argument. When Trump says he wants to deport the enemy within and homegrown criminals, that applies.
Now, yeah. Yes. Yes. That does indeed apply to Black people. With Black men voting for Kamala Harris or voting Democrat, 78% of the black men that voting for Kamala Harris. Yeah. Yeah. Those guys they would definitely qualify as enemy within. They definitely would. The black women that voted, 92% of them voted for Kamala Harris. They would and they will definitely qualify as the enemy within. Anybody that opposes Donald Trump, especially when he says something about enemies, you will qualify as an enemy if you don't vote for Donald Trump. That just kind of is what it is. So he's absolutely right about that one. And I think one thing that we kind of see a lot, at least on FBA Twitters and stuff like that, and even Tariq Nasheed himself, is a lot of Republican support, a lot of Trump support. Now maybe not full support. Like they try to make some, let's put it this way. We do see. I literally saw a video where he said he told somebody that Donald Trump was a better pick for black Americans than Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? And gave a really pitiful reason as to why. And he pretty much bombed the debate against Fanatic regarding over Donald Trump. So like it's yeah, I don't know he got to do better than that. But at FBAs and all that stuff, or a lot of that Twitter sphere of FBAs need to do better with understanding politics, like for sure. Anyway, so yeah, again, I'll give him this point. There's not much to really argue against. It's just facts.
That applies to black people. That's my argument. My fourth argument, which is another link argument to the white nationalist argument. When they talk about tether, that is another concept created by white nationalists, i.e. a anchor baby or a tether baby. These are all arguments showing y'all how FBA is white nationalism in black.
Okay. All right. So this is a big one. I don't like this argument at all because there's always distinctions. There's always distinctions when it comes to when black people apply something and something that we see other nationality groups do, right? I think the quick response that we would normally see from FBA is other groups do it, why can't we? I mean that's just like the general broad, bold, response. Like when if like example, because what I'm trying to say is it is not specifically relegated to this specific critique, right? Another example would be delineating, like the whole purpose of this FBA thing, and ADOS as well. The purpose of delineation is to just is to make the distinction between those emancipated from slavery, and those individuals that didn't. At least that's for ADOS. But for FBA, there's a different distinction. They are more so on the lines of anybody that is black, even before emancipation, qualifies as FBA. There's a lot of commonalities amongst FBA and ADOS instilled to both groups by the United States government. Okay, but again, it is important to understand that even though like at a glance you think that both groups represent the same people, not necessarily. Solely because, and I don't even know if Tariq Nasheed knows this, which is kind of out there, but there's people there was black people. We all know it's not. I'm not gonna say that Tariq doesn't know this specific portion, but yes, there's people. There were black Americans, and during times of slavery that were not slaves. They were never slaves, right? But they still qualify as FBA. They were foundation to this land, right? They were already here. And I want to say this too. Foundational Black Americans also means that it also includes melanated or black people that were here before the slave ships. You know what I mean? Because there's a whole argument about if because like I guess if I can just kind of like throw the like recall the arguments to the best of my ability. If you kind of punch in the numbers, if you kind of I guess you have to compare like the number of how many slaves there were in America during like America's like first years of slavery. Compare that number to the number of to the number of slaves that were transported here by like essentially taking the total number, the max capacity of a slave ship, and then multiply it times how many slave ships there were. People are just simply saying that calculation does not match. It does not equate to the number of slaves during the first years of American chattel slavery. So that is the argument. So with that considered, again, and I'm not saying I'm adopting this argument. I just understand the argument. Now, with that considered, all those slaves that did not that was not transported here via slave ship, they all, whether they're slaves or not, mind you, I'm gonna talk everybody that's melanated, everybody that was black, is what I'm referring to. All of them will qualify as foundational to America, and also black, right? So, but whereas ADOS, Americans descended of slaves, that's only that's only people that were descended of emancipated people. All right, so it is different groups. There's a lot of intersectionality. There's commonalities. Still two different groups. Still accommodates for different people. So like I said, there is this name tether that was created. I believe it was created by the FBA or people that hashtag FBA. How do I put this? He calls this he's essentially calling this a slur, right? And it's a slur that is rooted, that is pretty much the black version of calling somebody an anchor baby. You know what I mean? A term used to refer to a baby born to an undocumented mother in a country where the baby becomes a citizen at birth, especially when the birth is planned to facilitate eventual legal residency for the family. Okay, that's what an anchor baby is, all right? So let's look at the word tether. To my understanding, so let me see something real quick. That was uh-oh. I might have been wrong about FBAs. Hold a second. What's the word I'm looking for? Tether. That's not good. Not kind. Okay. Okay, not that. Okay, so Urban Dictionary. Let's go with Urban Dictionary for a second, because this is just for like a split second, because I know I remember what I just said about FBA. Urban Dictionary. Black American supremacists, FBA. Okay, we already on the wrong foot, because let's read them. Let's hear them out. They use white supremacist ideologies against black immigrants because they are pissed that their white government does not acknowledge them in society. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about. A melanated person who is not found. Okay. Okay. A melanated person who is not a foundational black American that uses their melanin or blackness to undermine Black Americans, FBA. Tethers typically use their blackness to act as representative for Black Americans, FBA, for the benefit of their white handlers while having disdain for Black Americans. So yeah, that's pretty much what I initially understood to be what a tether was. Let's read another one. A term that directly describes those African descendants that betray their own or others. A mimic, infiltrator, chameleon, agent slash sellout. Someone who disrupts the goals, progress, and or mission of their slash other groups. I don't know. Cause that's what I don't like. I don't even like that definition either. Um, so let's go with this last one. A person of a foreign lineage who undermines and or unjustifiably dislikes and or discredits and or denigrates and or seeks to thwart the legitimate aspirations of foundational Black Americans and whose forebears came to the lands of North America as colonists or some other foreign invader, or a person who come to the United States as an immigrant, or whose parents, grandparents, etc., came to the United States as immigrants who likewise undermines and or unjustifiably dislikes and or discredits and or denigrates and or seeks to thwart the legitimate aspirations of foundational Black Americans. This includes persons of all races and ethnicities, but especially pertains to foreign lineage, Negroid people, i.e. native Negroid Africans, Negroid Caribbeans, and Negroid Hispanics. This is due to the aforementioned people being of the same race as foundational Black American people, and thus them being a sort of doppelganger in relation to them. All tethers have forebears who come to the lands of North America as colonists, or they themselves are immigrants of the offspring of immigrants. Additionally, they have a disdain for and or seek to thwart the legitimate aspirations of foundational Black Americans in some way. Okay, so this definition is more akin to what I understood FBA to be. Okay. I don't. But again, I don't really. I don't. I'm just. Not mind you. I'm not gonna. I still don't really honor Urban Dictionary too much. In this manner, because I would say that the site itself will speak to others. You know what? I just thought about something. We actually did a video on this a while ago. Yeah, this is a throwback, y'all. This one is a throwback. Actually, it might be this right here. Well, yeah, I come with a passport. So anybody that don't know what that is, I probably shouldn't share that because YouTube be on some BS with me with that word. So let's go. So let's find out what that means. What that word means. You know what? I can't do that. Listen, off the strength that YouTube have a problem with that particular word, just go pull up your Google and find out what that word means. But yeah, he said it's a foreign C word, right? Um, anybody that knows what that C word actually means, it's essentially just, again, it's a person. Ooh, excuse me, it's a Black person that actively that goes out their way to denigrate the progress of other Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? So it's but yeah, he said is that with a passport. You know what I'm saying? Which is still kind of he still kind of messed that definition up as well. But the understanding is somebody that came from a melanated person from a foreign land that is out to essentially undermine the struggles and the collective progress of Black Americans. That's what a tether actually is. And for And for consciously to not make that distinction, it's kind of like, again, it's just bad faith. You know what I mean? It's not an anchor baby. It's very much so different than an anchor baby. An anchor baby is somebody that gains citizenship through birthright citizenship, and not through their parents actually already having citizenship in any given nation. Anyway, so like I said, it's just really bad faith for him to not make that distinction, especially knowing how intelligent consciously actually already is. So yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Which takes me to my fifth argument. FBA is inconsistent with its delineations of who's FBA versus who's tethered. I.e., Malcolm X, they say is, FBA because they feel like he did some good shit. But the random person that has a parent from Grenada on Twitter, they are tethered. Shut up. You feel me? Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Mama, you know what I'm saying? Born and raised in Jamaica, but Biggie's born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Is he a tether or is he an FBA? You know what I'm saying? He was the FBA. You feel me? Maya Angelou, Cicely Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Like all these are different things.
I've heard some niggas call Shirley Chisholm a tether.
Hey.
Straight up. Yeah.
Hey. Keep on going. I got more arguments.
Okay, as far as his claim that FBAs are inconsistent with their labeling of these people, like it just kind of goes back to what I said earlier. There's gonna be a bunch of people that claim FBA that just don't know shit. Again, this is like the best example I can think of is it's like listening to somebody that claims to be a Democrat but knows almost nothing about politics, and then he tried to tell you something that a real politician, that a real Democratic politician just would not say. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be plenty of people that with the hashtag FBA is gonna say some nonsense. I mean, are you gonna just take to Twitter and then type in FBA in a search and then just collect all the just crazy cockamamie arguments that you see these people make and assume that these people are really that these people, I mean, they're gonna assume that these people are actual representatives of that, as you label it, group. And again, it's not. I mean, Tariq Nasheed himself has let everybody know that FBA is not a group. It is a lineage. So anybody can have any opinion they want under this lineage. So you have to respect that as such. I mean, you don't make the rules of that. Of this group, or whatever you want to call it. You don't make the rules. Like the people that created this movement, the person that got the ball rolling, he essentially set the rules. He set the stage as far as what this FBA identity actually is. So with that said, like, no, you have to, like, I don't know, man, like submit. I don't know, maybe. You have to, I mean, maybe somewhere in this 2-hour, 14-minute video, somebody kind of come in and like help him understand that these people are not actual representatives of the FBA. They're just trolls or liars or anything to that nature. But I don't know. I feel like consciously is more so vexed in this period, and maybe it was a time of weakness for him. So no, that was a bad argument. Okay, so they're divisive. I can agree with this for the most part. I think I can. I think I can. At least from his lived experience, I can. There's definitely a lot of actual FBAs that are relatively divisive when it comes to like this. Like we just read it on the page itself. He essentially said, don't let politicians that are non FBA to speak on your behalf. I mean, let me see. Did he say speak on our behalf or represent us? Let me see. Because I mean, because the thing is, I still would I still wouldn't even agree with that, even if it was like I still wouldn't agree with it for the off the strength that if you have somebody, you can have anybody speak on your behalf as long as they speak on your behalf in a accurate manner, then it should be fine. You know what I mean? Um, so FBA should only consider other qualified full FBA representatives to act as spokespersons for the collective interests of the ethnic group. No, I don't agree with that because, like I said, anybody can properly represent you as a lineage or what however you want to label it. It's just a matter of them doing it in an accurate manner. And if you're gonna just base this off of off the failings of past non-FBA's politicians and so on and so forth. This is so silly. This is so damn silly. That is dumb. That really is a dumb take. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, if you're gonna just base that like assumption that you're gonna base this rule off of like the assumption that I'm sorry, if you're gonna base this assumption off of the past dealings with of non-FBAs, then that's just kind of foolish. It's presumptuous. It's basically applying stereotypes. So that's definitely a L take, like for sure. It's just that the only thing you just need to like properly vet these individuals because like those individuals that like got away with it, and did not act to our best interest. Those individuals weren't vetted properly. And like fact of the matter, like Uncle Tom, like not Uncle Tom's, Sambos exists. Like FBAs that act against the better interest of the group, of the collective. Yeah, those guys exist as well, and they're mostly conservatives and and Trump voters. You know what I'm saying? But yes, those individuals they exist as well, and they can. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I guess the big word is consider. So like just because yeah. Because I'll take it back. Because the key word here is consider. So just because you consider them does not mean they're gonna pass a sniff test. So I'll give them credit for that. But no, still, regardless though, we're not supposed to. You don't stereotype somebody and you don't like stereotype a whole like group because some unvetted individuals made your life harder. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta just all this means is you're supposed to vet everybody you're supposed to vet every politician that makes any sort of attempt to represent you, any spokesperson that makes an attempt to represent you. Like, come on now.
VA men fight harder against black immigrants than they fight for black women reproduction. Argument. FBA care more about illegals than they care about children, black children, and alienating black folks. What's your storage black coalition building? 7 argument. FBA men fight harder against black immigrants than they fight for black women reproduction.
Okay. They fight harder for illegal immigration than they do for black women's reproductive rights. Well, I think that's. We still have to acknowledge. I'm gonna have to say this every freaking time, I guess. But yes, we are gonna have to acknowledge that, like, just because you're FBA does not. Understand that FBA is a lineage, not necessarily a political group to any capacity. We have to understand that there's no one size fits all. There's no monolith understanding as far as politics at all. If it doesn't matter. The only thing these people like collectively understand, or at least in theory, coming back from Trick Sheet himself, the only thing these people are supposed to have in common is the identity themselves, the identity itself, the FBA identity. But like no, like as far as politics is concerned, like there's gonna be some that like the women, for example, they'll mess around and advocate harder for the women's reproductive rights over illegal immigration and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on how you kind of look at it, bro. I mean, I know there's there was before. I mean, during the election. I mean, not during the election. When Greg Abbott was sending all these immigrants to all of these different. I mean, when they were sending all these undocumented immigrants to all these different sanctuary cities, it arguably caused a financial strain on the individuals in that city, in those cities. And that's just one of those failings of the left. We didn't see them engage. I didn't see any leftists engaged with that conversation at all. Especially when they understand that, like, if there's like a clash between two marginalized groups, they typically avoid speaking on those clashes. And it is unfortunate because, like, I mean, I think these conversations are like necessary. They're necessary towards, the healing or the full mending or binding of these two groups. But again, they just don't want to have those types of conversations. But I mean, very much so when it comes to like those undocumented immigrants. Yes, those individuals were placed in the ghettos, right? They were placed in areas where there was already substantial disinvestment, and the people there were they didn't have a lot already. And then when these people kind of came in and took a share of the resources that a lot of Black Americans in those communities have been asking for a long time, it was a slap in the face. When taxes had to be raised higher to accommodate for those individuals, that felt like a slap in the face. Like what happened over in New York about those cars and stuff like that. Like that also was a slap in the face. And like I'm just saying, like, I mean, one of the great criticisms that that's going to hold Democrats and leftists back is the inability or unwillingness to have the conversation about, okay, what do y'all do when one marginalized group is essentially pinned against another marginalized group for resources, right? So that's, if you ask higher thinking, the answer is tax the rich. But that's I think a lot of them will agree with that as well. But if you're not gonna have that if you're so afraid to have that conversation, then when are you gonna come with a solution? So I don't know. Maybe let's say, hold on. Best case scenario, maybe there's a Discord channel or something like that somewhere where they discuss these matters. I don't know. I can see it happening. Like I said, there's knowing that Tariq Nasheed is like the ringleader of those that identify as FBA, which is probably what he means in all of this. But again, I guess there's a clash between what he understands to be FBA and what the actual argument, what the actual theory is. But in other words, just to be charitable to him, he really means that everybody that identifies as FBA, which is still like a massive reach because not everybody that identifies as FBA even know the origins of that hashtag, or not the hashtag itself, but like the identity, like, and let alone the politics or the sentiments of the individual, Tariq Nasheed, that again that created that identity. Considering that this applies to Tariq Nasheed, it is safe to say that a lot of people that identify as FBA does talk more about securing the border and deportations and everything to that nature, more than they would talk about women's reproductive rights. So.
Argument. FBA care more about illegals than they care about children.
They very much so care about, like, matter of fact, everything they do is for the betterment of FBA children. Like, that's what it is. Now, if you want to just say children of other nationality, ethnicity groups, yes, very much so. Less than much. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, how do I put this? It's like the argument they will make is first of all, everybody else does that. Second of all, we have the right to care about our own kids over the kids of that that are not under our like jurisdiction or under our protection. We can only stretch ourselves so far, and then other groups have been using us, has used us or wrung us dry up to this point anyway. So like that's, and I don't know what to say. That would be something that so to Conscious Lee's point, I mean, we can grant him that. We can grant him that point. But like, it's like how much are we to expect of black people to care about like the world when it's only like 14% of us in America, and even less of us that actually identify as FBA. You know what I mean? So like, just how much can we give to the world when we ourselves are already like fighting for scraps as it is? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So it's like, I get it. He constantly does. I mean, he's correct, but like, I'm just not necessarily agreeing that that's like as bad as he's trying to make it out to be. Like everybody, every group, I mean, every like person is gonna care about their own kids more than they're gonna care about like anybody else's kids, and that's just like that's just your immediate family. But like, so yeah, if you identify as your delineated group, in this case FBA or even ADOS or whatever, Black American, there's a likelihood that you're gonna care about those kids more than other kids. I mean, we see it happening in every other in every other ethnicity and the ethnicity group. But I mean, it's like, and I get it is tough to say something like that. But what I will say is that on that same token, like I said, we have we have less than 5% wealth share in America. Most of us are in debt, and most of us don't have time to essentially do it all to fight everybody else's battles. And I don't know. It's just I can't really get on board with him criticizing people for not caring about everybody's kids, because nobody cares about everybody's kids. Like, I'm just being realistic. FBA, so they care more. They care more about deportation and holding those illegal immigrants accountable. More they care about black children. Damn, what a take. What a take. So I guess the best argument I can provide is it is for the children's protection that these people are essentially not siphoning FBA's resources. So that's what the argument should sound like. What do I think about that? What is my opinion regarding that? Overall, I think everything we should be aspiring for as parents should be for the betterment of the next generation. And it's like you have to argue that those individuals being placed in black neighborhoods, you have to be able to argue that those that they're not siphoning the resource to the point where it's a significant burden on the individuals that live in these communities. Okay. And I think that's applicable in many situations, but we have to agree that it is a detriment when the taxes when it's harder to keep up with one's bills with the taxes and things of that nature. So I mean, I'm just being as objective as I possibly can here. So like so basically, if we can get if the city can come up with ways to like accommodate for those individuals without it being a significant burden on FBAs, right? Then this would be then consciously would have a point in here because it like essentially with them being so hard such a hard one about deporting illegal undocumented immigrants and foregoing the nurture and the well-being of the kids, then okay, then that would be a justified like a valid critique. However, if the taxes go up, if it becomes harder for those individuals to live, they would be essentially protecting their livelihood for like basically. And as I kind of said earlier, like Black Americans are already kind of Black Americans are already like in debt for the most part, already live paycheck to paycheck, already don't have much collected wealth, already have much less opportunities than many of some of the other ethnic groups in America. So like we're like our survivability is already like somewhat on the frisk comparative to other nationality groups, other ethnicities. As far as wealth, income and wealth share, we're at the very bottom at this point. I think if I recall correctly, Black Americans on average earn $43,000 a year on average in America, and then like I think that's either average or median, one of them. But like now we fell on everybody. So like with that considered, you have to understand that you have to understand like the sensitivity of resources in our communities, or you have to understand the sensitivity of protection of resource in these communities. You feel me? So that's pretty much his whole spiel against FBAs, and that is pretty much my some rebuttal to most of them from my understanding of the FBAs. Again, like I more so identify as freedmen. I also understand like the importance of delineating. At least it's just when it comes to like the numbers, dealing with the numbers alone. People like Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore do a better job at explaining the importance of these numbers. Here, a brief example is, and this came from Antonio Moore. We can talk about since there's no delineating. When we kind of talk about like, if you look at the United States Census definition of the term black, or how it's explained in the census, like the census explains black to be those whom have lineage rooted in Africa, and so what that means is that counts everybody. That means those individuals that are foundational to this America. It includes those who were the specific individuals that were enslaved in this country. And it also includes individuals that came from foreign land, or melanated people that came from foreign lands, i.e. Africa, both documented and undocumented. So with that, so it can become a situation. It can become a problematic situation when it comes to, let's say, wealth or wealth accumulation. If we're gonna keep score, right, or keep inventory, if we're gonna keep records of how much like wealth each ethnicity or ethnic group has, understanding that conflating freedmen's accumulated wealth with every other Black American subtype in America is just gonna complicate that stat. You know what I mean? And some people can say, okay, what's the difference? Who cares if all of the numbers of like freedmen and black and Africans and African Americans, or individuals that that move here from Africa, or maybe first or second generation Africans. What difference does it make that they kind of combined our numbers to create whatever average as far as relegating to wealth accumulation? What difference does it make? It does matter when it depending on like the nature of each individual conversation. Like why are we accumulating these numbers? Why do we need to study these numbers to begin with? I think it's important that we again, depending on the nature of the conversation, depending on what you're trying to prove with those numbers, it can definitely change the trajectory of a conversation, knowing that freedmen make a certain amount of money in America last year comparatively to an African from any part of Africa making a certain amount of money. Antonio Moore himself stated that Africans from different parts of Africa, or I'm sorry, first or second generation Africans just have a different lived experience than those descendants of slaves. He basically says that off the strength of us going through 400 years of unpaid labor is a distinction in of itself that makes it. Well, no. Not just that. But I'm not gonna say everybody. I'm not gonna say every African, but there's also a population of Africans that have the money to make the trip to America and do everything legally. Do it like perform do the citizenship, do all that shit legally. And that takes money to do that. That's not. And I'm not saying that these people are like substantially wealthy, but like Antonio Moore himself says that yes, they have more wealth, they have more money than those that were that have not 400 years, but Jesus, over 200 years of unpaid labor and 400 years of combined oppression in general. About 80 some years. Wait, I think it's 60. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so 99 years of Jim Crow and 246 years of slavery. That like those realities, it just creates different. It's gonna create like a different trajectory of wealth accumulation, as opposed to those individuals that come in from a country where there wasn't that type of oppression. Now there could be other types of oppression where each of these people came from. Their family may have experienced a certain level of disinvestment, or anything could have happened. You know what I mean? And it like we think things kind of did happen, obviously. But what I will say is, if we're not gonna total up or calculate how each of these people's like lived experience correlates to like their ability to generate wealth, then it's just best that we kind of separate our numbers from all these other groups' numbers. You know what I mean? And I would say a good example for why this will be important is understanding is to create not to create a narrative, but to help create the bill for reparations for Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand like that stuff. Like you have to. I think it's good to understand how much money American freedmen collectively have, separate from what Africans and other melanated people add to the collective number. You know what I mean? So I think that's those type of conversations are important when it comes to like this. And this is definitely like super long video, but I think overall, I think constantly, I think he definitely means well. Most leftists definitely do mean well, but like I just think that he needs to just do a better job at understanding the theory, understanding like just put more effort into listening to people they don't agree with before he jumps to creating like debates and creating arguments and stuff like that. Like it's kind of just, I mean, I don't know. Like most good debaters already understand that like a substantial amount of research is necessary before they're able to before they feel like they're prepared for a debate. You know what I mean? Actual debate. I'm pretty sure he knows that already because he's very well decorated. He's a decorated debater. I don't know. So I don't know if constantly you're gonna see this. I'm definitely willing to have a conversation with you, my guy. But like again, I'm more so of again, I rather identify as Freeman. I don't really do the FBA thing. And because my reason is not necessarily to do with a lot of the reasons that I've seen online. I just don't support trick and cheat. But that's everybody's individual prerogative to support him and his hashtag or not. You feel me? So anyway, otherwise, words to the FBAs, yo, y'all gotta clean up. Y'all gotta clean that ish up, bro. Like, I understand y'all can't control everybody that uses Twitter. Like, I get it, but this is why you're gonna continue to have these problems in the online space. And right now, you guys are essentially being lumped together with a lot of problematic narratives and stuff like that. So I don't know. You do what you will with this. Do what you will with this video, with this message. I'll catch you on the flip side. I've been high thinking.